From the Morgan County Partnership with this week's Positive Action lesson for you. Are you ready for advisory time? I hope so. This week we're talking about physical wellness. Our positive action value focuses on your physical health this week. And then I want you to meet a friend of mine, Flavio from Outwardbound, who's going to talk to us about something important for our world today, talking and understanding more about conflict and peaceful resolutions. But first, let's talk about physical wellness. Physical wellness means to be healthy and well with our bodies, inside and out, okay? And it's important because when our physical body feels better, our wellness is better. They kind of are connected. They go hand in hand. This week for Positive Actions, I want you to remember these physical clues. For you, teenager, to feel well, it's important to get physical activity. And that's to be busy. You don't need to be on a sports team, although that's something that definitely gives you physical exercise. But Mrs. Hott wants you to remember to try a little bit every day to be active. What are some things you think you can do to be active? It doesn't have to be much. Maybe it's just taking a walk. Or maybe it's helping your neighbor rake their leaves or put up their Christmas decorations. Activity is important, teenager, for your growth and development. So we want to be sure and that we don't spend too much time stagnant in one place on a phone or playing video games. It's important to get up and to move and to exercise. So get out there, take a walk, and see how much better it makes you feel. The second thing we want to talk about for your physical body is nutrition. Healthy eating. What we put inside our physical body, our healthy food, things with vitamins, nutrients, proteins, is important, especially important for a growing teen. Next, this is an important one. For your physical wellness, you need to avoid harmful substances. And that means staying drug-free and alcohol-free. Your body and your brain, teenager, is not ready for alcohol or harmful substances. Smoking, what are those other things called? Vaping. It's just not good for your physical body. And what you do today, believe me, affects what your body's going to be like down the road. And finally, self-care. And that's when we talk about your hygiene. It's important, teenagers, to do those simple things like bathe regularly, right? Wear some deodorant. Regularly wash your hair and brush your teeth. And if you need help with some of those items, our Morgan County Partnership has a hygiene closet available in our schools. If you need some toothpaste, soaps, anything like that, your hygiene helps your physical wellness. And you know what? When your body feels good, your mind and your feelings feel better too. So this week, physical wellness is something you might think, oh, Mrs. Hott, we don't need to talk about that again. But I want to remind you, because we're going into the holidays, it's colder outside, it might be easier to just turn the TV on, but try to remember each day, was I active? Even if it's just for 10 minutes. Get up and do something. Jog in place, okay? Nutrition and healthy eating. What did I decide? It's up to you what you put inside your body. I hope that it has lots of vitamins and nutrients to help you stay healthy. Next, avoiding harmful substances, staying drug-free. I remember you guys coming to the Cougar Den and at the intermediate school. We talked about that a lot, right? So we want you to continue to remember to avoid harmful substances and do things today that are going to be good for your body tomorrow. And finally, self-care and hygiene. Please take a shower, okay? All right, teenagers, for our final part of advisory time, this week in Positive Actions, I want you to meet my friend Flavio from over at Outwardbound. He's going to talk about conflict, what it means, what defines it, and hopefully build a basis for understanding on why there's conflict anywhere from in your homes, in your classrooms, and in your communities. So watch this. And after that, we want you to join your YPA platform on your device or your personal cell phone. Now, YPA has been adding modules throughout the month, and at any time here after positive actions, or during your week when your device or your cell phone, you can continue to complete the 20-hour platform. So as a teenager, you can make decisions today that'll give us a more peaceful world tomorrow. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Good morning. I'm pleased to join you today as part of the World Affairs Seminar for 2021. My name is Flavio Bollag. I'm the Executive Director of the Outwardbound Center for Peacebuilding, and I'll be sharing just a few big ideas on what do we mean by peace and peacebuilding, and what are some of the key frameworks and ideas that we use in this work. I'll mention just a quick quote as I open. This is one of my favorites because it touches on some really big ideas, including the idea of peace coming from the inner peace, from inside ourselves, and really the importance of compassion and connecting and working with other people as part of the fundamental tools of peace and peace building. So what do we mean when we talk about peace? Are we talking about the end of all conflict? Are we talking about peace as the opposite of conflict? Many of you have probably heard about peace or peace treaties in history and social studies, and the idea of war coming to an end and then people living at peace. But what we think about when we talk about peace and peace building as something that we can work on in our lives and in our communities and societies, our definition really is the will and the skill to address conflict without violence or the fear of violence. Conflict is a natural part of the human existence. It's a natural part of us living and working with our friends, with our families, with our communities and societies. The goal of peace building is to create strong, collaborative societies that can address conflict and resolve conflict without violence or without the fear of violence. And there's some very specific ways in which we can do that. Peace is kind of a big idea. And when you just get started in this world, it can be hard to figure out, what are we actually talking about? What do we mean by peace and peace building? And so this is a really important distinction between two terms called negative peace and positive peace. These ideas were first coined by a philosopher named Johann Galtung, who's one of the major thinkers in the area of peace today. And they've since been expanded on by an organization called the Institute for Economics and Peace, which is one of our key partners that we work with a lot. The idea is not that one is bad and one is good, or that one is better and one is worse, but rather negative peace is quite simply a situation where there is no violence or no fear of violence. If you think about things that you've learned in history class, when a war ends or when two countries or two communities decide to stop fighting and have a peace treaty, they've achieved a level of negative peace. But there's something bigger than that that we look to build to, which is positive peace. And positive peace is the sum of the attitudes and institutions and structures and ideas that exist and that create and sustain peaceful societies. They're what allow some communities, some countries, some cultures to withstand crises, natural disasters, the impact of things like climate change or global pandemics without their social structures, without their social norms being challenged, and without falling into situations where violence or the fear of violence can come about through conflict. And so the goal of peace building really is to achieve negative peace and then to work towards positive peace. And positive peace is something that we're always continuing to work on. You don't achieve it or arrive at a state of positive peace and then wipe your hands and say, we're done, we're at peace now, we're finished. And so it's important to understand, how can we get to greater levels of positive peace? And how will we know when we have? How will we know when we've arrived there? And so that same group that I mentioned before, the Institute for Economics and Peace, has created this great system that we think about as the 8 pillars of positive peace. And you can see them outlined here. They include things like acceptance of the rights of others, equitable distribution of resources, a free flow of information, well-functioning government. These are 8 aspects of strong communities and societies, all 8 of whom are connected to each other and actually rely on each other in order to exist and to thrive. But these are things that we can deliberately build towards. These are parts of our society and our communities that we can deliberately work on and strengthen in order to achieve higher levels of peacefulness, in order to sustain that level of peacefulness as well. And so we work on these things all the time. And now, in the structure that you see them here, they seem really kind of big and global and kind of daunting. And it's easy to think, what can I as one person, what can I as a small group do about, high levels of human capital? What does that even mean? How can I help to work on, well-functioning government? But all of these pieces can be broken down into much smaller steps and much smaller bites that we actually each can do something about. High levels of human capital is as simple as thinking about people having the ability to pursue the life they want to pursue, the opportunity to get an education, pursue a degree, get trained for a job that they want, get promoted, and be able to earn a living so that they can support their family. Free flow of information. Well, it's never been, harder to think about a time when it's maybe more relevant to think about people having access to news and information that they want to gather, the ability to go online if they want to, pick up a smartphone if they have one, and do research and get information, read about things that they want to be able to make a decision about in their life. Sound business environment plays into this. Again, societies that show ways for people to be able to advance their lives and do so in an environment that they more or less think is fair and is equitable is hugely important to building higher levels of peacefulness within a community. But again, we think about that and we look at that and we think that seems really big, that seems really daunting, that seems like something that the government needs to do. What can I actually do at a local level? And so I wanted to share a couple examples of what local community-based peace building might actually look like. Addressing food insecurity, helping to support your local food bank, or raising awareness about the fact that your community might actually have food deserts where people don't have access to healthy or local food. Filling in gaps in access to technology and connectivity. Does your local library have a program where people can borrow a laptop, maybe if they don't have a computer, and get online and get access to information? Does everyone in your community have access to high-speed internet at home? And if not, how can we help make that possible so that people have the ability to get information at their fingertips and learn? Talk about something like high levels of human capital. Do all students in your school or in your community feel like they have access to college applications, to job training, to internship programs, to summer jobs? These are the kind of things that help people move forward in the life that they want to lead and lead to lower levels of conflict and lower levels of disruption to peace. Teaching literacy, providing cultural exchange programs, the arts, music, athletics. There's lots of different ways in which you can share information, bring people together, give people the opportunity to move forward in the kind of life that they want to lead. All of these are vital contributions to more peaceful societies, and they're things that all of us can undertake really in our day-to-day lives, as well as in the work that we do or the service that we do to our community. I mentioned the Institute for Economics and Peace before. They also are leaders in what I would call the ability to measure peace. They have created statistical indexes that they publish every year. The map that you see here comes from something that they publish every year called the Global Peace Index. And it's a way for us to begin to understand and to visualize what parts of the world and what kind of communities and societies are thriving when it comes to building high levels of peacefulness and what areas are struggling. You might be surprised on the map that I show you here that the United States is actually kind of right in the middle. And so there's a lot that we can learn and work on right at home to help build the resiliency, the nature of collaboration in our communities as well. Website that I have down at the bottom here is called visionofhumanity.org. That's the homepage for a lot of the work of the Institute for Economics and Peace. Definitely something that I recommend checking out. Lots of great maps and reports and different things that you can access there for free and take a look and learn more. But for me, really an eye-opening tool and part of the way in which we think about how do we achieve a level of success when it comes to peace and peace building as well. Last big concept that I want to leave you with today is the idea of connectors and dividers. when we talk about the idea of building peace within communities or societies, we're often drawn to think about, well, we have to find the people, or we have to find the ideas that are tearing us apart, or that are dividers, or that are causing greater levels of conflict. And we have to somehow get to them and change them. Or we have to take the dividers and take things that have a division between them and bring them together. That is a very strong and important part of what we do, but it's often really, really difficult work. And the current research actually shows that in many cases, it's not that successful. So rather than focusing on the things that divide us, what we often do is we actually focus on connectors. And so if you think about our family, your school, your local community, or our nation as a whole, as a system, as a web of people and ideas and institutions that have all kinds of different relationships to each other. If we work to strengthen the points of connection, if we all decide that rather than being dividers, we're going to be connectors, we're going to look for things that we have in common with other people, we're going to look to build upon those commonalities, we're going to share relationships and go out of our way to find new connections and new relationships and make those stronger and stronger and stronger. What we eventually do is we create a community, we create a system that has so many points of connection that are so strong that the work of the dividers really doesn't work anymore. And so it's a way for us to think about, rather than being concerned about something like polarization or division within our communities and thinking about what can I possibly do to change something like that, to focus more on what can I do that's already working? Who do I have a connection to? Who do I have things in common with? How can I find more people like that and build stronger and stronger ties to more and more people so that we become connected and it becomes much, much harder for anything to divide us as a society, as a community, as a family, as a school, whatever that group of people might be. So kind of a last thought that I'll leave you with, but I encourage you to think about, how am I a connector? Who am I connected to? And who can I do a better job of connecting with so that there'll be a lot less division for us to be challenged by? Many of you may have heard about this initiative called Youth in Peace in Action. You and your school or your Interact Club may already be part of it. If you are, that's terrific. We are so excited to see the great work that you're going to do this year and continue on this learning journey about peace and peace building. If you're not, if you're just coming to this or you're looking for more information, you can get it at the website, youthpeaceaction.org. You can also find information online at Youth Peace Action. That's our social handle. There's all kinds of great things happening. Right now, there happens to be a program going on called the 21-Day Challenge, where we're really showcasing a lot of young people's leadership and young people's voices in the areas of peace and peace building and volunteer service. And I encourage you to check them out. So I thank you very much for your time and your attention today. I hope some of these ideas have been interesting and maybe eye-opening a little bit and get you started on the road toward becoming a peace builder and greater understanding of the idea of peace and peace building. A lot more to come. Again, if you have questions, you can always check out youthpeaceaction.org, find new ways to get involved and learn more. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, teens in Morgan County. You've been awarded a Peace Champion badge from YPA. Here's a refresher on how to enroll in YPA using your access code 1BSHS for Youth Peace. If you've already enrolled, at this time you can launch your platform and go right to your device. If you need a little help, just ask. It's time to open your dashboards on Youth and Peace in Action, and let's take a look at this week's lesson from Outward Bound and New Gen Peace Builders. I can't wait to see